second semester and I teach seniors. Any teacher who has ever taught seniors at this time knows the feeling. Deep breath. Okay, let's do this. We give ourselves a pep talk in January. This year will be different. We can do this. I can inspire them. They will learn and grow and have fun and stay motivated until the very end. Right? Well, with the help of my colleague, Miriam Morningstar, and fellow Coetailer, we decided to take on this challenge. We were going to do something new, relevant, and hopefully fun and helpful for our seniors. The last part of the year is the time we dedicate to preparing for the IB Paper 2, which is a compare-contrast essay, and for our texts we chose The Kite Runner and Persepolis. This falls under part 3 of the course, which is called Texts and Contexts. Since understanding the context is such a huge part of the course, we like to introduce the text through background projects. For the Kite Runner, we took a fairly traditional approach with group presentations, although we did encourage students to use Adobe Spark, which was a new platform for us. The results were pretty predictable. There were a few really good presentations, but some were not so great, thrown together, and part of that was our fault for not having clear criteria and clear-cut assessments. So for Persepolis, we racked our brains to come up with something great, and the result was our brainchild, the Google Site background presentation. Our technology learning coach and fellow Coetailer, Andrew Wright, introduced us to the new Google Sites in some of our meetings, and that was the inspiration for this project. We wanted the projects to be collaborative, techy, and involve a real audience, and so we came up with a group Google Site in which each class would create one site, which we divided into different sections or pages. We divided the project into 6 categories, which we thought would help them organize the contextual and background information, and each group was responsible for one page. I first practiced making my own Google site so that I would have some knowledge of the process, although I knew the students would by far outshine what I did. I found the setup process quick and easy and used what I learned to help guide my students, at least in the beginning. I approached the learning coaches for some advice about what we should think about in terms of assessing the project, and they gave me some great advice.
That students have a quiz that they make themselves that be accessible through the website.
And I suggested using a rubric that focused strictly on the content that was covered and not just the look and the feel of the site.
With their advice, we created a self-assessment for students to complete and reflect on their learning and have a role in determining their grade. We also wanted the sites to be published to a real audience and decided to ask our learning coaches to judge the projects and determine a single winner. Some classes took the challenge more seriously than others. Overall, the students responded well to the projects and took ownership of their pages. The winner was the class that worked together more cohesively and had more of a theme for their site instead of working individually on each page.
We have signed over 120 copies of
Finally, students reflected on their personal performance and experience using the self-reflection forms. The learning coaches reviewed each of the pages and gave me some great feedback.
What we really liked about it mainly was that it was a great collaborative effort with the students within the class. From a technical standpoint, I really appreciated that one group kind of went above and beyond, and they had drop-down menus, and they really did a great job of organizing the content to make it look really great and present it in a nice way.
As a former English teacher and someone who's taught the book Persepolis before, I just really appreciated the project in its entirety. I thought the students had incredibly detailed research and images, and I learned a lot about the actual content that I didn't know, even though I've taught the book and that unit several times before. So I was impressed with the overall quality of the learning and the content and the details compared to years past with less technically savvy projects.
Overall, we consider the project a success. While completing the pages, I think they actually did have fun, they were motivated, and they seemed eager to learn about the author and the historical context of the texts.
Okay, so what I liked about the Google Sites project that we completed was the fact that we were able to normally collect our data and present it in a way, but we also had to make it visually attractive and also digital. So it kind of helped us incorporate our normal process of finding and collecting and then recording data, in this case the Iranian Revolution. But then we were also allowed to get images and present it on the Google Sites program so that way that we thought would attract people in an actual online setting.
I think we found overall that the final implementation of viewing the pages and then completing the quizzes could have been improved. I hadn't thought of this particular idea, but my student gave me some excellent advice.
So the changes I would like to make were really just more of an emphasis on the quiz that we were able to put on the bottom of the Google site. So at the very bottom we made a quiz of 5 to 10, I think, questions of things that we talked about in the site. And I thought maybe if we would put more of an emphasis on that, and maybe at the end all the groups would get together and make a larger quiz so that maybe the class could take it as a formative or development test to make sure that everyone really understood the data that was presented in all of the group's Google sites, and so the unit would be really comprehensive and well developed, I guess.
Well, based on some teacher feedback, I think that the best change for next year would be to use exemplars, and now that you've done it one time around, you'll have the exemplars to show students, and they could even assess them themselves beforehand with the rubric, so they have a feel for the rubric, a feel for what's good and what needs to be improved, and have an idea of really what's expected.
And I thought that a website is, to break it up in smaller groups would give kids a chance to have more of an active role in it. Doing a one big website as one big group is challenging, and there were a lot of pages and a lot of detail, a lot of information. Maybe it could be toned down a little bit, focused in a little bit more clearly. That might happen if they were working with a smaller group.
In the end, this project met the definition of redefinition, as it used technology to meet a goal that was previously inconceivable. The collaborative part especially would have been unthinkable even a few years ago, before the Google revolution. And as for my second semester senior dread, during the project, we could have actually been transported back to year one when they were bright-eyed, motivated, and excited. This helped remind me to harness the power of technology in education and truly think about how I can use it to accomplish the same goals I've always had, but in better, thoughtful ways that may motivate students in a new way.